Officer Barlow, thank you so much for having another conversation with us about realtor safety. This is a very important topic nationally for us, and having your time and your expertise for our Realtor Association is just so needed and so valued. So thank you again.
Thank you for having me.
So let's chat a little bit about working out of your office.
Okay.
And some safety measures that you can implement if you are someone that does work from a traditional office setting and not in a home office. What are some things
Sure.
that people should remember or think about?
Well, when you're working from the office, I think it's always important for people to know the layout. In the face of danger, one thing I always tell people to be aware of is knowing the layout of where you are.
Mm-hmm.
So in office buildings, you should always know where the emergency exits are. If something were to happen, you should always know where extra phones are. If you're working late, if a realtor is working late in the office and there's multiple people in the office, I think one thing that they can do to kind of help each other out is like having a buddy system. So when you're leaving the office, if there's more than one person in here, you guys can walk out to the cars together. Having lights in the parking lot, motion sensors, having an updated camera system is vital. It's 2023. Any
Yes.
business, why don't you have a camera system, right? It's just so much going on in the world. It just doesn't hurt if you can afford it. I would break the bank to definitely invest in a good camera system. For sure.
And or if you don't have the money to break the bank,
Sure.
you can go on Amazon
Okay.
and get Ring doorbells like I did.
Awesome.
And we have 4 doors in our building, so we
Perfect.
have one on each door. The motion sensor lights are very, very helpful.
Excellent,
especially the back door, where folks won't be able to see you from the street. But I think all of that is just really helpful. Is just making sure that you have an exit plan, know where all the exits are.
Absolutely.
And I love this idea of visualizing, just kind of putting yourself in. Unfortunately, we have to do that. It's not a great thing to think about, but just visualizing, okay, if I were in this situation, worst case scenario, if I'm in this room, where am I gonna exit if I need to? If I'm unfortunately down in the basement, or if I'm upstairs, where can I exit? So I think that's a great idea. And then also having additional lighting in the parking lot so that you can see where you're going.
Absolutely. I totally agree. One of the biggest things too I harp on, I teach a lot of classes, is the body can't go where the mind's never been. So as much as we hate to think about it, like you just said, the reality of the world is crime is occurring everywhere. It could happen to anyone. No one's protected unless you protect yourself. So if you never sit down with yourself and think about, wow, what if this were to happen to me right now in this moment? If you don't even mentally go through the steps of what you would do to protect yourself or other property, building, etc., you'll never know what to do if the time actually does come. And it's not even an if, it's a when, right? That you have to have that mentality, right? To protect yourself and others around you, for sure. So
I love that. Also, kind of switching gears and talking about what if you're in the office by yourself, right? Some really good things to do are to make sure the doors are locked, unless you are, in my personal opinion, I feel like you shouldn't be accepting people just walking in if you're in the office by yourself.
Absolutely.
But at least having some sort of a doorbell system or a ring system, lock that door. And so no one can come in unannounced if you're at the office by yourself. And the buddy system could also be used if you're in the office by yourself.
Even if you don't have a buddy in the office by yourself, we're peace officers also, right?
Yeah.
So if you take it upon yourself to do the research and recognize the area that you're in, and if you look at some of our crime stats, it'll tell you, hey, assaults have been happening in this area around this time, or burglaries have been happening at this particular area at this particular time. You can always call 911 and we can come assist you as just a peace officer standby, just to make sure you get to your vehicle safely and have no concerns. So that's never an issue.
That's a great idea too. Just, hey, can I have a private escort to my car, please?
And we would be happy to do it. We would. Especially coming here. I would hope I'm the officer you call too. I have no problem showing
Listen,
up.
okay. So let's talk about as well, like if you're meeting a client at the office, we are in a business where, most of the time we're hoping that people are satisfied and happy, but it is also very high stakes. And you may sometimes have someone that is not as happy and pleased, and they now know where your office is.
Yes.
Right. So what are some things that we can do to protect ourselves, maybe from clients at the office?
Very, very good point. Also, again, I would harp on the peace officer. If you're in the office by yourself and you notice a client is getting a little irate, it's making you uncomfortable, you can even text 911. I'm big on faking it till you make it. If you don't want to make them even more disgruntled, you can always, hey, try to de-escalate the situation and act like you're just on your phone, maybe just looking through something, but you really text 911, hey, I need an officer here at this time. Creating distance is another big thing. So we're sitting pretty close right now, but if you start to feel uncomfortable, just casually back up, go to the other side of the table, create that distance. So if something were to happen, you at least have the space and the opportunity to get away and defend yourself if need be.
Would you suggest, having some safety devices or certain type of things that you can keep in an office in the event of an emergency?
You guys can always install like panic buttons.
Okay.
That's another thing. Internal cameras, pepper spray, tasers. I always recommend people carry that on their person or close to. So you have that advantage, right? This is your office, so you know where things are in drawers and hidden places. So you can always tactically move around to access those things to protect yourself. You're at the advantage, so they wouldn't know. So keeping little things around to kind of just, gauge the situation is extremely helpful for you guys.
So really great ideas.
Yeah.
Mental note.
Exactly.
Is there anything that we haven't covered in regards to office safety, being in the office alone or leaving the office after hours that we should be mindful of?
I think we covered a lot of great points. One that just came into mind was, I don't know what after hours constitute for you guys, but always keeping the door locked.
Yeah.
We have a very large unhoused population in Kalamazoo, and a lot of times people are intoxicated, they're inebriated, they're under some type of influence, and they just walk around trying doors.
Okay.
If the wrong person gets in here, it could cause a real spook for staff. So I would just make sure we're keeping doors locked, probably at all times. If you know someone's coming, just keep an eye out for them. It's nothing to just another thing to create that barrier to protect yourself.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. These are all really wonderful tips. All of them that I will be implementing soon.
Excellent. I'm glad to hear that.
At our office. But we just appreciate your expertise and words of wisdom and advice. Thank you so much.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me.